Welcome back. I'm Calvin, aka Statue Fanatic, here with another review, and today we're going to take a look at another soft vinyl piece. This is a vinyl piece from a company called Soft Vinyl. I already reviewed the Spider-Man in this line, which was number 2. This is number 1, Venom. And before I get started with the review itself, I just want to mention the reason I'm doing this review is that I just had to give this figure a second chance because I've seen a number of reviewers review this figure on their channel, and my God, they weren't very kind to it. But I had to still get it because I was able to go to Japan and at Wonderfest, and I saw this unpainted, and George and I both thought, like, holy shit, that looks awesome. And then we got to see it painted in New York Comic Con, and again, behind glass, it looked great. And then when I saw the reviews, I'm like, oh God, that's so disappointing. But I also had to consider the reviewers and what they were reviewing, and it's not something that they normally review because they, what you would call baller reviewers, review statues that are thousands of dollars in price, and you would expect a certain level from a statue that way. And this statue does not cost that much. So without further ado, let's take a look at the box, and then we'll take a look at the statue. So as you can see, the box is really cool with the it kind of like wraps around here. You can see that if you can see that Venom wraps around there, and you can see this freaking ferocious profile of Venom on the front on the box. Other than that, just some subtle images, and then you have the statue itself, if you can make that out with all the background, but the statue is sitting right there. And now you can see this is number 1, and I'll put this aside, but before I get the other one, number 1, and this was number 2. Remember, I reviewed this Spider-Man statue, and I really loved this statue, though. The only issue I had with it was the price. But as far as the sculpt and everything, this was great. So I wanted to give number 2 a chance and take a look at the Venom statue. So here you have the Venom soft vinyl statue out of the box. And I'm just going to kind of do it once around here so you can get an idea of what this statue looks like. I'm going to actually put this in the light box so we can just look at the statue without any distractions in the background. But I also wanted you to see just the size of it and what it looks like when it is next to a human. I mean, you can see from here, it's a really big statue. Now, one of the things about the statue is when I saw other reviewers do it, they took it out of the box, they set it down, and it fell over. This isn't happening with this statue. I'll move that around. Statue is really solid. I think that's how the creators intended this to be, for it to be here. Just like the Spider-Man, when I got that statue, it did not have a base. You can see that here with the Spider-Man statue that goes with this. And I think these two statues pair really well together. But we'll probably put them together in the light box. And as you can see, this particular Venom statue comes with the head here with his tongue, wicked tongue out, really ferocious looking Venom. And he also has an alternate head. And just like in Japan, now I, looking at this, really like it. I will give you what my negative, if you will, about this statue later, so stay tuned. But for the most part, I want to give the statue a fair chance. So let's put it inside of the light box and take a look at it. So here you have Venom out of the box, inside of the white box, and I wanted to do this so you can see some of the really cool details without any distractions. Now, as we turn this around, you can see this guy is just really menacing. He's in a really cool pose, in my opinion. You can almost imagine that he has Spider-Man underneath his hand, and he's pinning him down, and he's about to lash out at him. But let's take a look, starting right here, because there's no base. So we're going to start with the portrait. This comes with 2 different portraits. So as you can see here, this portrait has a ton of detail in it. I mean, take a look. I'm going to zoom in. Look at the teeth on this guy. I mean, this guy is just like ferocious there. And then take a look at his tongue. Kind of wicked the way that it's coming out of his mouth. So the head sculpt on this thing, man, I think is really good. And then when you see the corners of his mouth as he opens his mouth, and you can see the symbiote stretching, that looks really awesome, I think. And then this guy comes with 2 portraits. So what I'm going to do is, once we take a look at the entire statue, we'll put the second portrait of him transforming from Eddie Brock into the Venom, or vice versa. And then let's just take a look at his entire body. You can see This statue has a ton of detail, and this is what I remember seeing when we were in Tokyo. It's like, wow, look at the detail on that statue, and look at the strands of the symbiote and how it wraps around his body. The way that the symbiote is wrapping around Venom, Eddie Brock's body, it kind of looks like this pulsating type living organism. And then on the back, you see you have the spider logo here in white. That looks pretty decent. Actually, that looks really good too. And then as we go around here, you can see his quads, his legs, his calves, all very muscular here. Very, very muscular. And then the same thing down here with his toes. Those really, really sharp toenails there. Look at there. That looks really awesome. And then you can see the veins and everything going up his forearm into his biceps and his midsection and a thigh, all sculpted really well. Now when it comes to the paint and the color scheme of this, now he has a bluish tinge that fades into or blends into the black really well. You can see that as we look. It's not overpowering, it just looks like it should be that way. And the spider that's painted on his chest is done really well. I mean, it's not raised or anything like that. It's actually painted. There isn't any, it's not sculpted into the body. It doesn't look like, just like on the back, it's painted on there. And so now what we'll do is we'll take this portrait off and we'll take a look at the portrait with him transforming from Eddie Brock. So here you have the alternate portrait, which is Eddie Brock. And I tell you what, man, this looks really crazy, wicked, awesome. This transformation looks really freaking awesome, I think. As I zoom in, you can see underneath there with the white eyes and how as he's in this state of metamorphosis, and then the tongue and his face and the disfigurement of his jaw and his whole head as the symbiote opens up to reveal Eddie Brock, or just before it consumes him completely. I just think that looks really awesome the way that it's done. And again, as you look at the entire statue, it looks really great. Look at his fingers there. All of it looks really awesome, I think. So I just wanted to give this statue a second chance. Now, is it perfect? No. One gripe that I have, just like other reviewers have had, $250 is a pretty steep price for a vinyl figure with no base. But, like I said, it's also a really, really big figure as well. So I think an appropriate price point for this piece would have been more along the $150 range, maybe. Because I think it has a fantastic sculpt. Had this piece been a resin statue, I think it would have gotten a much different reception. And definitely had it had a base, but it doesn't. And one of the other things, and aside from the price, that kind of stands out is that you can see the seam right here where the portrait connects to the body. You can see that. Now I pushed it in and it kind of looks better, you know, but it is there. But the unfair part is that this camera is zooming in much further than someone who was actually looking at this as it was being displayed. And because I think this displays extremely well. If you're not looking there, that seam is pretty big. But as you zoom out, it's not so much. And then here you can see where it connects at the leg, but that almost seems like it should be there. So I don't have a big problem with that. And then one other thing here at the very back is where his torso, there's this blue line where it looks like the top of the torso fits together. But I just want to say that the sculpt of this guy is really good. This is a really nice sculpt of Venom. And I like the pose, the paint application on it, the way that it blends into the blues, blend into the black. I think it looks really good. So what I'm going to do now is put Spider-Man right next to it and see how they pair together. So here you have Spider-Man and Venom from the Self Vinyl collection paired together. And I think they look really good together. Both sculpts I think are really done well. And both have really fine detail in the sculpt and paint applications that look really nice. So overall, yes, I think these are really good statues. My only gripe was the things that I said. The number one being the price point. And I have seen where these have gone down some in price, probably because people are realizing that it is a pretty steep price. So demand could determine the price, and I've seen it go down quite a bit. So you can probably pick Venom up for under $200 now. Well, that concludes my review of Soft Vinyl's Venom, the second in their series. And hopefully my review allows you to take a second look at this and kind of decide for yourself whether or not this is something that you would put in your collection. Venom fans, I think, will love this piece. And remember, my friends, to always collect what you like and not the hype, because you never know, you might get stuck with it. So until next time, my friends, peace.